Let me read you something from Fabrizio Romano. It's a good tweet, but there's a couple of worrying things about it. Well, one worrying thing. West Ham are discussing personal terms with Filip Kostić. Good. I know some of you don't think so. I do. I'll get to that in just a second. After official proposals submitted yesterday, talks are progressing well, but a deal is not completed yet. Talks will enter the final stages once Scamacca deal is completed. Matter of small details. What's the small details? The Scamacca deal? Or is it the Kostić one, the small details? What I don't like about that, and there's nothing I can do about it, like it or lump it really, it's the fact we have to wait until one deal's completed to do another one. This allows people to sneak in. I think they got their priorities right though. Scamacca has got to be the priority deal over Kostić. However, I've read an awful lot about Kostić over the last few days. One of these players that you don't have to look up if you're a West Ham fan. You haven't got to go searching around YouTube clips and whatnot, because actually we saw him in pretty close quarters last season. In fact, we've already looked at the YouTube clips, because when we were drawn to face Frankfurt, I went and had a look at him then, because he was one of the players that Gio picked out as the danger man. Had a look at him. Really, really good player. Now, what I like about him is he's really direct. He's not wasteful in any way, shape or form. And it was something that I was keen for us to sort of explore in terms of bringing somebody in who was going to not slow down the gameplay particularly. We lack pace. I know we lack pace. Ideally, we have a quick winger there. And I still believe that we need to bring in pace. I'll tell you what, if you haven't seen it, go and look. I haven't seen much of that match. I only looked at a few little bits and pieces on YouTube. I'm talking, what match? The match against Luton. Go and look at 41 minutes. Literally, set it for 41 minutes, not into the video, but on the clock, into the game. 41 minutes into the game, counter-attack. Basically, the counter-attack of West Ham dies because we're slow. Basically, we have to check back, and in the end the commentator says, oh, you've got to be impressed with West Ham, there was nothing on, so they've kept on recycling the ball. Well, there was nothing on because we weren't quick enough to break the line. The counter-attack was on, it went to Fornals, then it went to Soucek. We just weren't quick enough, basically. So I do think pace is going to be incredibly important. However, quality is also important. It's not just pace of the team and pace of the individual players. It's actually taking as few touches as possible and being very, very direct where you're running. I think Kostić is that. I think he's incredibly direct. He won't do a trick unless he absolutely has to. And if there is an opportunity on to swing the ball over or to play the pass, he'll do it. In fact, the one thing he is looking for at all times is to assist, and looking to assist as quickly as possible. I've been pleased to see that Soucek has scored a couple of goals very, very recently. Pleased to see him back in the team. Pleased to see him playing with a smile on his face. And even more pleased with a lot of the comments that he made about West Ham, about training, about being back at West Ham. They weren't the comments of a miserable player. They weren't the comments of somebody who didn't want to be at the club. Far from it. I think it's an interesting dynamic. I'll get back onto Kostić at the moment because it all sort of fits in and ties in together. They weren't the words of somebody that wanted to leave. And I do wonder if the lack of a big transfer bid for him or any sort of massive desire from any other clubs to sign him has probably demonstrated that Soucek's value is perhaps not as high as he thought. But not just him, it's not as high as we thought it was when we first got him. Actually, he's a very, very good player for West Ham. He's a very good player, but he suits us perfectly. But, hey, look, we thought at one point we were going to be able to sell him for sort of 50 million. We can't. He's not. Clubs don't want to pay that. I think from his point of view, he thought he was going to be able to go and get 125 grand a week. He can't. No one wants to pay him that. So I felt all the way along, and you notice if you're a regular watcher, I thought there was probably a compromise going to happen at some point, and I feel we'll reach one. And I'll be really, really pleased with that. But it's been really good to see him score in the last couple of games. The set-piece goal he scored the other day, great. But there's no surprise there. What I particularly liked against the one against Luton was from open play. And it was a good ball over from the left foot of Aaron Cresswell. And when I saw that goal, I could envisage Kostić playing it. Not as a left back, by the way. Now, granted, I do know we tinkered. I say we tinkered. I didn't tinker. You didn't tinker. David Moyes tinkered with the formation a little bit for that game against Luton. And I know for most of that game that Aaron Cresswell was playing at the left centre-back. Clearly, that's not a position Kostić will play in, but the area from where the delivery came was the same. The manner of the delivery is very similar to what Kostić does as well. So I looked at it and I thought, oh, okay. If what we're going to do is we're going to retain Soucek and David Moyes is going to sort of liberate him a little bit more and get him playing more in the fashion that he did in his first 18 months, actually, delivery from that area is going to be really, really important. I feel we lack creativity, and I felt that for a little while. And I think, obviously, he who shall not be mentioned was going to be part of that sort of creative process. But the moment he didn't sign, then we're looking for somebody else creative. And I said in the video the other day, it doesn't necessarily mean we have to sign an attacking midfielder. We could just try and get Soucek further up the pitch, particularly if we're still going to be in for Onana. Maybe, but the creativity has to come from somewhere. We clearly have it on the right, but we need more of it on the left. And maybe this is the answer. Maybe this is it. If you remember when Darmesh was on the other day, I know I've already alluded to it when he was speaking to Gio, he mentioned about the possibility of Scamacca. I meant to say Scamacca. I keep getting corrected on it. I don't know. I've not decided what the final one is yet. Might wait for a commentator to say Scamacca, and then I think I might settle on it. Anyway, whoever it is, Kostić and Scamacca were suggested by Darmesh that they could link up. And I thought, yes, really, really, really good. This could be really good because he's an impressive player. Scamacca. Yeah, in terms of impressive physical specimen, big old fella, isn't he, really? And I just thought, oh yeah, this would be really good. And with him, what is he, 6'4", 6'5"? I think Soucek 6'4" as well. Plus the ability from set pieces and the other big players that we've got in the team. Well, this is actually really good. You know what? If we're not able to get who we want to expand our gameplay through the middle, then bringing Kostić in is a really, really good thing. I don't think he's quite as slow as everyone makes out. He's not as quick as I would like, granted. I don't want to see him playing at left back. But actually, a large part of our game is based on set pieces. And I think he would improve that even more. Clearly, it's an area that David Moyes wanted to look at because he was wanted to bring, what's his name? I forget. James Ward-Prowse, who was a set piece specialist. So Kostić coming in would be a very, very good move indeed, not just for corners, but from open play. I found Cresswell at times very, very frustrating. He would take the touch before crossing it over. If you watched again the game against Luton, there was actually, I don't know if it's infectious or what, because there were points where Fornals played on the right and Fornals would take the extra touch. He's decided to roll the ball under his foot before crossing it now, thus allowing the defenders that extra second to get into position and the fullback to get closer to try and block the cross. First time cross is what it's all about. Well, I tell you what, if you want a first time cross, then really Kostić is your man. In fact, it's funny, his name is almost Cross, isn't it? Kostić. But mind you, maybe it's just like almost, you could say Crosswell as well. I'm being silly, aren't I? Forget that last bit, or don't. But I do think he would work really well with our current players, and certainly in terms of getting Scamacca in, I think it's a very, very good deal. Back to the tweet from Fabrizio Romano. We're waiting to get the Scamacca deal done. I mean, I hope we get it done. I'm recording this video now, which is basically late Saturday night. I'm going to publish it early Sunday morning. I did think, oh, maybe it'll get old. Maybe we'll sign him and this video won't sort of be relevant. I hope it's not. I hope this video isn't relevant because on Sunday we announce a signing. I don't know how it's going to work. Maybe they'll announce it Monday. I don't know if he's flying over, if he's had meetings. I really don't know how it's going to work. I don't know if he's meeting with Sullivan, meeting with Newman. I ain't got a clue. Clearly Moyes was at the game. So, I mean, there are a bit of a hindrance, aren't they, these friendly games, to actually the manager sitting down with a player. We know the manager likes to sit down with a player. You remember the Agerd interview when he said he'd spoken to the manager 2 or 3 times. I don't know if that just meant the phone or a Zoom call, but I got the impression when he did his interview with Carlton Cole that he'd sat down alongside Moyes. I certainly got that. I read that into what he was saying anyway. Definitely need someone in now. I don't want to get to the Man City game and have to play that same old sort of laboured team that we did before. Even just a couple of new signings in there are going to be really good. Someone chomping at the bit off the bench. I think whatever happens, even if we brought Scamacca in on Monday, still, and he's got a couple of weeks training, I still think Antonio starts. I really do. I just don't think Moz do anything but that. However, as I understand it, now I've not seen all the game, as I mentioned, a couple of chances were missed in the second half, apparently by Antonio or something. Well, I mean, he's missed a few in pre-season, hasn't he? If that's happening, then you've got a really talented striker on the bench, chomping at the bit, wanting to get on, and Moyes looks at the bench and thinks, I need a goal. Then maybe maybe that's something that would be really, really good. But I mean, let's get the signing done now. Let's get the deal over the line. I mentioned the formation earlier. I think the formation, I'm not sure that was... I read a couple of people who said, well, maybe that's an indicator of how we're going to play if we get Kostić, because then Kostić will be the left wing back. I don't know. None of us know. My reading of the switch of formation was purely practical to deal with the fact that we had so many injuries at centre-back, really, which is why he's played Johnson at right centre-back and Cresswell at left centre-back. Zuma in the middle, who, let's be fair, looked a little bit shaky, didn't he? I didn't like him in the middle of a back three, particularly there, because you almost get the impression that guy's got to, not just defend, he's got to do some ball playing, and I don't think he's the best out of the lot, is he, at playing the ball? That's for sure. But they pressed really high from what I saw, Luton. Anyway, that's what I think. Kostić coming in, I'm not as negative about it as some. I think he'd be a really, really good player. He's quality, and do you know what? You cannot have too many quality players. Look, Lewis Potter may well turn out to be a fine player, and he's probably quicker than Kostić, but he's no, at this point in time, he's going to be nowhere near as good a player as him. A couple of people have questioned his ambition, because he should... Well, he's just won a trophy, European trophy, with Frankfurt, hasn't he? Why wouldn't you want to be in the Champions League? Maybe, just maybe, knows that Frankfurt aren't going to win the Champions League, and in terms of European glory, he's probably exceeded what he thought he'd do anyway. He's already got a Europa League winners medal, so maybe that's part of it. I'm pretty sure that part of it is money as well. Look, you win some, you lose some. Apparently, they're in a little bit of a financial pickle. Frankfurt, I can't see how they would be. They've just won a European trophy and they're in Champions League. In the group stage as well, I think guarantees you 30 million. They should be really healthy financially, bearing in mind the season they've just had. But I don't know, don't claim to know anything about it at all. But if the player's moving for money, as I say, you win some, you lose some. We've just lost out on a player who basically wanted, to make a quick buck. Can we, someone wants to join us to make a quick buck? It's swings and roundabouts. I guess all you can hope is that he's committed whilst he's here. But I do think that the style of football would suit him. I really, really do. I think we lack a little bit of accuracy, a little bit of cutting edge sometimes, and he's certainly, for anything else he might be lacking, he certainly brings that. I'll leave you with a final comment, and it's not my comment. It's a comment of Mark Hughes, actually. Who'd have thought it? It was when they was trying to sign, he was a Blackburn manager, and he was trying to sign Roque Santa Cruz. And Mark Hughes said about him, you might remember the quote, he said, we've looked at signing him a couple of times. He said, and the thing that stopped us, we were looking at things that he couldn't do. He said, and you know what? I've actually stopped doing it. Rather than looking at what he can't do, I've decided to look at what he can do. And that's why we brought him in. And I think I thought it was quite profound, actually. It's stuck with me, him saying that. And I think it's something that really... sometimes you've got to be pragmatic, particularly if you can't go and get your first choices, and look at what someone can bring to the team. And I've had a look at it and look at what Kostić can bring to the team and what Scamacca can bring to the team. They may not be the first choices, but if we get all these players in, and we've got a Gerd as well, then you ask yourself a simple question, really. With all those players in, will the team and will the squad be better than it was last season? I think you have to say the answer is yes.